Before looking at the 7 habits, it's important to note a couple more items of interest. First, the 7 habits of effective people are something that is evolution and revolutionary. They are not habits that are obtained overnight or even by the time you finish with the book. The first 3 habits are private victories. They are internal in nature and must be met in order to move on to the final 4 habits. Private victories are needed first because they will give you more self-confidence, which is necessary for public and social success. The second portion, the last 4 habits, are public victories, and they give you the ability to be successful in relationships. They can help you mend prior relationships and create new ones in both personal and business life. Private victories are the moments people create their own change. They don't do it to garner attention at work or with their spouses. They do it to feel better about themselves and make positive changes for the foreseeable future. The private victories take time and effort because they are changing the ingrained habits that we have been born with and raised with our entire lives. What are habits? Habits can be defined as the place where 3 key aspects intersect. Where knowledge, skill, and desire all coincide is where a habit is formed. In order to have knowledge, skill, and desire, we must obtain a sequential order of growth, both physically and emotionally. All humans start out helpless and dependent. Then we learn by milestones and hopefully, we attain independence physically, emotionally, and cognitively. Once we have achieved independence successfully, we are ready to work towards interdependence. Interdependence, or the ability to work synergistically with another person, only comes if both people are independent emotionally and cognitively. A person needs to be able to think for themselves and be confident in decision-making, or they will become dependent on the people they are around to make decisions for them. They need to be independent emotionally, or their happiness and despair will be based upon the emotional whims of whomever they are with rather than their own unique expressions. Living a happy, productive, successful life is ideal. People go to great lengths to fashion a life for themselves that matches their ambitions and desires. Unfortunately, most people's happiness and success are short-lived. This is because they are managing themselves and their lives at a superficial level. They use superficial methods to get what they want and quick-fix band-aid solutions to solve their dilemmas. But what if there was a better way? With 7 habits of highly effective people, people can have long-term happy, productive, successful lives both personally and professionally. It takes work, introspection, planning, discipline, and long-term commitment. Changing one's paradigms, working on your core values and beliefs, and deciding to prioritize your principles are the first steps. Creating new habits and discarding old ones is a radical life change that takes time. Not hours or days, but weeks and months. Analyzing and applying the next 7 habits will alter a person's existence from a very private personal level to a very outward public level. How do you know where you're going if you don't give some thought as to where you want to be? You don't plan a drive from California to New York without checking out some maps. Or perhaps you do, and it's a habit you need to change in order to increase productivity and effectiveness. If you think about where you want to be in life, then you can figure out where you are now and how far you are from your goals. You can also determine what is in your circle of influence that you can affect in order to get to the goal. This is the beginning of all things created twice. First, we think of what we want, and then we make it happen. The first creation is in our minds, then we create it in reality. Using the end goal to envision our life lets us begin the planning process for creating it in real time. To lock in these thoughts and dreams about who we are and who we want to be, we need to create a personal mission statement. This mission statement needs to encompass it all. What do you want to do with your life? Write it down. Where do you want to go? Write it down. What value and ethics are you going to maintain in order to get to your goal in a manner that will not leave you with more in your circle of concern? Write it down. Also, this mission statement needs to be done for all areas of your life. What is your personal mission statement just for you and the person you want to be? Then what about what type of spouse you want to be and what you want your marriage to look like? What kind of parent do you want to be and how will you raise your children? What kind of boss, colleague, or employee are you? When you commit to the person you want to be in all the roles of your life, you are activating your initiative and taking charge of your environment in a proactive manner. Priorities are key. You always hear people saying, you need to get your priorities in order. That's a true statement. You need to put first things first. Being able to say no is the only way to prioritize your time. You cannot choose what things come first if you are constantly enlisting yourself to help others or work more overtime or manage playdates for the kids on a daily basis. Saying no can be an uncomfortable feeling unless you come from a principled center, in which case you will have the confidence to know yourself, know your limits, know your time management, and be able to respectfully and purposefully politely refuse to take on more in your life. Another way to manage time is to relinquish some control. This is by delegating. There are 2 types of delegating, gopher and stewardship. Stewards are beneficial, gophers are not. Quadrant 1 is where reactive people live their lives. Everything is happening to them. In this quadrant, you are not taking initiative, you are being acted upon. Quadrant 1 is filled with crises, pressing problems, deadline-driven projects. These are urgent, important matters. These matters occur in everyone's life. They are a child breaking a bone or a fender bender on the way home from work. They are going to occur to every person on the planet, but how often they occur and whether we are always just keeping our head above water and living from one adrenaline-infused moment to the next is up to us. Quadrant 2 is important but not urgent. This is the quadrant we want to be in because this is the real life lived by a proactive person. In this quadrant, we have prevention, production capability, relationship building, recognizing new opportunities, planning, recreation. We can't even begin to build relationships if we are living in Q1 and always putting out fires. Quadrant 3 is not important, but it is urgent. These activities include interruptions, some calls, some mail, some reports, some meetings, proximate pressing matters, popular activities. Quadrant 4 is not important and it's not urgent. It's trivia, busy work, some mail, some phone calls, time wasters, pleasant activities. Quadrant 4 is a wasteland. Nothing really gets done here. This is the place where people are acted upon, and usually they go from being spaced out in Q4 to flying by the seat of their pants in Q1 because they slacked off. Ideally, you spend a little time in each quadrant and build relationships that allow you to move fluidly between them. Quadrant 1 will pop up and a crisis will occur, but with proactive preventative behaviors, you will be better able to handle the crisis and move forward to a more productive state. Quadrant 4 also has a purpose. It is necessary to take time to relax and unwind, but it should not be the quadrant that dominates your time. Independent will and the freedom to choose our response is nearly the definition of what it means to be proactive. Proactive is having responsibility. We have responsibility, meaning we can choose how we respond. How we respond is either proactive or reactive. We either let things happen to us and then blame everyone for what is going on, which is reactive. Reactive people tend to have self-fulfilling prophecies. They speak negativity into existence by having deterministic attitudes and being acted upon. Proactive people engage self-awareness, imagination, conscience, and independent will and take responsibility for their lives. Taking initiative and using the resources at hand are two important aspects of being proactive. That is, it takes a positive attitude and realistic outlook to initiate the changes that need to be made. Positive attitudes go a long way toward persevering on a new path. On the new path is the understanding that there are aspects of our life we can control, which is our circle of influence, and there are areas of our lives that impact us but we can do nothing to change, which is our circle of concern. The way to properly delegate is to employ stewardship. Stewardship is giving a person a task, job, project, and leaving it in their capable hands. Stewardship focuses on results rather than methods. So long as you provide them with clear expectations in the following 5 areas, you both will be successful. Desired results.